Today on Retiring Well with Centennial Wealth Advisory, we are talking about low volatility investment discipline and why it's crucial to protect your principal even while taking income from your portfolio.
This is the show that shows you or teaches you how to be financially successful during your retirement years.
We'll compare two portfolios with similar rates of return, but with different investment strategies leading to vastly different outcomes.
They each take $50,000 a year. So they got $1 million, they're going to take $50,000 a year, every year for their retirement income. How'd they do?
All this and more on Retiring Well with Centennial Wealth Advisory, starting right now.
Retiring Well with Centennial Wealth Advisory, helping you make smart decisions with your money so you can live a better life. Today is the day you can take back control of your money. Retiring Well with Centennial Wealth Advisory, where we believe your best is yet to come.
Welcome to Retiring Well. I'm your host, Michael Reese, and I got to tell you something. This is my favorite show because this is the show that shows you or teaches you how to be financially successful during your retirement years. Quite frankly, most important show that we ever do. And I do it every now and then, so if you've been watching us for a number of years, you've probably seen me talk about this in the past. But if you haven't, this is it. This is the most important show you'll ever see. From us, anyway. And in fact, probably from most financial shows that you watch. So I think you're going to enjoy it. In order to share what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to give you a little story, and we're going to talk about two people. We're going to talk about John, and we're going to talk about Bill. So John and Bill, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend that they both work at the same company, and they each have $1 million, and they're in their 401k. And what they do in their 401k is, they say, okay, we've got two. It's a pretty simple 401k. They only have two different investment options in their 401k. They only got two, and they're only going to pick one. So what they do is they do what you do, what I do, what everybody does. They look at historical returns of these different accounts. And what they notice is that from January 1, 2000, all the way to December 31st, 2015, so over that period of years, account number one, let's call it mutual fund number one. Mutual fund number one averaged 5.67% rate of return. That's what it did, 5.67. Mutual fund number two averaged 5.66. The same stupid number almost. They're almost identical. And you always get a little bit more information. That's not the only information you get because, think about it. 567, 566, if that's all you knew, exactly how do you choose where to put your money? It's flip a coin, right? But there's a little more information. Mutual fund number one. This fund, it's a fund by Vanguard. Happens to be called the S&P 500 Index Fund. And by the way, that's exactly what that fund's earned on average since January 1, 2000 through December 31st, 2015. 5.67%. Doesn't seem like a lot. I thought the market was supposed to average 10% per year. Well, apparently it doesn't always do that. Anyway, it's Vanguard, and they're very, very cheap. I think investing in Vanguard is almost free. And so what happens is John, he says, look, I've read Kipling, or I've read Money Magazine, I've read everything. I know Vanguard's good, and I know it's cheap. That's where I'm putting the money. It's maybe 0.04% is all they're charging. At the end of the day, after fees, it averaged 5.67. That's where my money goes. Now, Bill, on the other hand, is looking at the other fund, mutual fund number two. That's from somebody let's call him Bridgewater. Now, never heard of Bridgewater, and they're charging 1.5%. But Bill, maybe he read something about him or he heard something about him. He goes, you know what? I believe that managers can beat the market, so I'm going to put my money there. And again, since 2000, it's averaged the same as the market. It costs a little more, but at the end of the day, after fees, we got the same return. So here we go. Let's imagine, though, the following. Let's imagine that it wasn't this year that they were having that conversation, that they were looking at these funds. Let's imagine that it was January 1st, 2000. January 1st, 2000, they each put $1 million. So John in the Vanguard approach, Bill in the Bridgewater approach, and $1 million goes in, they don't touch it. They don't add money, they don't take money out. At the end of the day after fees, it's December 31st, 2015, they're comparing account balances. At the end of the day, they got the same average return after all the fees have been paid, 567, 566. But here's what happened. John at Vanguard, at the end of the day, his $1 million grew to 1.85 million. Not too bad. Meanwhile, Bill at Bridgewater, exact same rate of return. His $1 million grew from 1 million to 2.35 million, $500,000 more. Same average return, 500 grand more. How did that happen? Well, don't go anywhere, because coming up after the break, I'm going to show you exactly how it happened.
Let's talk about retirement income in today's economy.
Are you using your savings for retirement income? Are you worried about outliving your money? If so, you're not alone. In fact, that's retirees' #1 concern, even more so than dying. And unfortunately, in 2008, we know that if another market crash happens, a lot of folks' concerns out there will become a reality. Here at Centennial Wealth, we specialize in retirement income planning. So if you would like us to give you a portfolio analysis to see how your plan stacks up when the next market correction happens, give us a call at 512-265-5000.
Do you have questions about your retirement income planning? We have answers. Give us a call right now at 512-265-5000 to talk to our retirement strategy team. Again, that's 512-265-5000. It's free to talk and we can help. 512-265-5000.
Essential financial strategies for a comfortable retirement. Join the Centennial Wealth Advisory team for an informative and exciting presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner, and learn how to protect your assets from market volatility, how to find growth and security in today's volatile market, how to prevent outliving your money, how decisions in Washington, D.C. are affecting your retirement, how to safeguard your assets from unnecessary taxation, the 4 ways to make sure your advisor is giving you expert advice, and much more. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, June 14th or Thursday, June 16th at Trulux in the Arboretum. Presentations start at 6:30 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 512-265-5000 or visit cen-wealth.com/events to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, Essential Financial Strategies for a Comfortable Retirement. Call 512-265-5000 today.
Welcome back. This week we are talking about volatility, why it's important to have low volatility portfolios. And what I want to do now is just share an example with you. And if you've been watching this show for any length of time, you've probably seen the same example 2 or 3 different times. But here's the thing. This is so important. It is so critical that you understand this when you're looking at your own investments and how you invest for your retirement. You need to understand these concepts. They're super, super important. And the good news is they're not very complicated. It's pretty straightforward. So let's use a little example to talk about why lower volatility and having a lower volatility investment discipline is so vital. Let's imagine that you're sitting on $2 million and you decide you're going to take half of it, $1 million, and you're going to buy some individual stock. I don't know what the stock is. It probably doesn't matter. It could be Facebook or Google. It could be ExxonMobil or Shell. It could be, IBM. It could be Philip Morris. You name it, any stock. And let's imagine that the first year, you put your $1 million in that stock, And in the very first year, let's pretend you're up 60%. So you're plus 60. Who's the world's greatest investor? You are, aren't you? You just made 60% in your first year. How happy are you? I mean, come on, you can't wait to go to your neighborhood party to tell your friends about how brilliant you are. I mean, that's how it is, right? And guess what? At the same time you did that, you put your other $1 million in a more, we'll call it a diversified portfolio. And while this was going up 60, over here you were up 30. Hey, are you happy with that too? I mean, come on, that's nothing to sneeze at. But we all know what goes up must come down. And let's imagine that the next year, your individual stock, it's down 40%. Now, by the way, do individual stocks, are there some years where they're up 60 and are there some years where they're down 40? I mean, guess what? You can pick any individual stock and look at its history and you see years that are bigger, wider ranges. They're up more than 60, they're down more than 40 in a single year. That happens all the time. But you start doing your math and you say, well, let's see. I'm plus 60 minus 40, that means I'm up 20. I've been in this for 2 years, so that's a 10% per year average. And that math is correct. Meanwhile, over here, you're down 40. The year that you were down 40 in your stock, your diversified portfolio, we'll say that maybe is down 10. And again, you do the math. Plus 30 minus 10, that's plus 20. Divided by 2 is 10% per year. Same average return. Now, let's combine the math with the money. So here we go. You got $1 million over here. It's up 60%. How much of a gain is 60% of $1 million? That's $600K. You're at $1.6 million over here. Over here, 30%, that's plus 300. You're at 1.3 million. And in both cases, I mean, let's be honest, you're brilliant. But then the next year things go down. 40% of 1.6, down 640K. You, after 2 years in your individual stock, started with $1 million, averaged 10% a year, somehow lost 40K. Good job. Also known as, oops. Meanwhile, over here, we lost 10%. What's 10% of 1.3 million? It's 130K. Oh, look, we're at 1.17 million. You started with $1 million, you ended up 170K when you averaged 10. Same average return, wildly different outcomes. Why? What happened? This is the secret to successful investing, especially during retirement. You should be willing to give up some of the upside, accept a little bit less of the upside in order to avoid what? The big loss. You can live with a lower return. You can't live with a big loss. Super important that you understand that concept.
Let's talk about retirement income in today's economy.
Do you have a plan for your retirement? Are you concerned about Social Security and tax decisions coming from Washington, D.C.? Is the extreme volatility of the stock market causing you to worry about your retirement plan? If the answer to any or all of these questions is yes, then we would love to meet with you. We at Centennial Wealth Advisory would love to sit down for a no-obligation look into your own personal retirement plan. Please give us a call at 512-265-5000.
Do you have questions about your retirement income planning? We have answers. Give us a call right now at 512-265-5000 to talk to our retirement strategy team. Again, that's 512-265-5000. It's free to talk and we can help. 512-265-5000.
Essential financial strategies for a comfortable retirement. Join the Centennial Wealth Advisory team for an informative and exciting presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and learn how to protect your assets from market volatility, how to find growth and security in today's volatile market, how to prevent outliving your money, how decisions in Washington, D.C. are affecting your retirement, how to safeguard your assets from unnecessary taxation, the 4 ways to make sure your advisor is giving you expert advice, and much more. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, June 14th or Thursday, June 16th at Trulux in the Arboretum. Presentations start at 6:30 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 512-265-5000 or visit sen-wealth.com/events to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, Essential Financial Strategies for a Comfortable Retirement. Call 512-265-5000 today.
Welcome back. This week we are talking about why it is so important to have a low volatility investment discipline. We started off by talking about John and Bill. They each had $1 million. They had 16 years to let the money just sit there and grow. John put it in Vanguard. Bill put it in this Bridgewater thing. And they earned the exact same average rate of return after expenses, or within 1/100%. Basically the same number. And they ended up with wildly different outcomes. And then in our last segment, we learned why. It's because one of them, John, the Vanguard approach, it was just tracking the market. So when times were good, it was really good. But when times were bad, it was really bad. Bridgewater, on the other hand, Bill, his approach, they're just more consistent, right? Remember, individual stock versus diversified. They were more consistent. When times were good, they were pretty good. Times were bad, they were just, a little bit bad. In comparison, over that period from 2000 to 2016, Vanguard, the S&P 500, we saw minus 22, we saw minus 37. Big losses. With the Bridgewater approach, we saw minus 2, minus 3, minus 5. With Vanguard, when times were good, it was plus 26, plus 32. Bridgewater, plus 15. In other words, one is more consistent, one's a little bit more of a roller coaster. The secret to success, be consistent. And at the end of the day, you don't want to pay a manager to try to beat the market. That's a waste of money. You pay a manager to be consistent. That's why you pay a manager. All right. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Mike, this has been a great story today, but here's the problem. I don't have 15 or 16 years just to grow my money anymore. I'm retired, or maybe close to retirement. I've got to take income. I know a lot of you out there, that's what you're thinking. So what if you take income? Well, I want to share something with you. My dad, my own dad, he retired January 1st, 2000. That's when he retired. And I remember when he retired, because he worked for State Farm for, I think, 32 years. And he came to me, he said, Mike, here's what I want you to do. Here's my 401k. Here's what I want. Now listen to what my dad wanted back in 2000. Here's what he said to me. I want you to protect my principal. I'd like you to give me some income. And at the end of the day, if you can, grow it a little bit. I'm going to say that again, because if you're retired or if you're nearing retirement, think about what my dad said. Isn't this you? Protect your principal. Take some income. And if you can, grow it a little bit. I mean, isn't that really what you want? Well, let's see how John and Bill would have done in that environment over the last 16 years. So again, it's January 1, 2000. They retired, just like my dad, but they have $1 million each. John uses the Vanguard approach. Bill uses the more consistent Bridgewater approach. They each take $50,000 a year. So they got $1 million, so they're going to take $50,000 a year. Every year, for their retirement income. How'd they do? John at Vanguard, he starts with $1 million, takes 50 grand a year. By December 31, 2015, his $1 million is down to $363,000. Starts with $1 million, takes his income, ends with $363,000. Did he protect his principal? Did he grow it? Not so good. Meanwhile, this Bridgewater approach, a more consistent approach, costs more, but it's consistent, started with $1 million. By December 31, 2015, ended with about $1.2 million. In other words, protected principal, took the income, grew it a little bit. Both funds had basically the same average rate of return after all fees were paid. Now, by the way, I would encourage all of you, call our office. Come visit with us. We can show you these numbers in detail to show you all the details about these two, about John and Bill. But this, my friends, most important thing you're ever going to hear about investing, consistency wins the game. Low volatility investment discipline is what you need.
Essential financial strategies for a comfortable retirement. Join the Centennial Wealth Advisory team for an informative and exciting presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and learn how to protect your assets from market volatility, how to find growth and security in today's volatile market, how to prevent outliving your money, how decisions in Washington, D.C. are affecting your retirement, how to safeguard your assets from unnecessary taxation, the 4 ways to make sure your advisor is giving you expert advice, and much more. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, June 14th or Thursday, June 16th at Trulux in the Arboretum. Presentations start at 6:30 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 512-265-5000 or visit sen-wealth.com/events to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, Essential Financial Strategies for a Comfortable Retirement. Call 512-265-5000 today.
All right, here we are again with my puppy Banks, and you can see her. She's getting bigger, isn't she? When you last saw her, she was 8 weeks old, just a tiny little puppy. I mean, I think she was only 10 or 15 pounds or something back then. Now, look at her. She's, I don't know, 30, 35 pounds, and now she's 14 weeks old, and they say she'll end up being 80, 90 pounds by the time she's all done. In any event, when we were last together with Banks, she was busy picking a stock. Now, if you'll recall, my little girl here, she has spent her entire life to that point trying to figure out what stock she should pick to bring you, our viewers, a hot stock tip, right? That was her entire goal. That's all she wanted to do, is bring you a hot stock tip. And, well, you can tell she's not very excited today, because today I'm going to share with you the results of her hot stock tip. Because remember, what did she do? She went out, she picked Nike stock. The idea was that we would compare the performance of that Nike stock to none other than the Oracle of Omaha himself, Mr. Warren Buffett. And so why don't we go ahead and bring up the results so far so that you can see how my baby Banks here is doing against Warren Buffett. And as you can see from the screen, Warren's up 6.2%, and oh no, poor Banks is losing money. Yeah, look at her. That's why she's so sad. She's lost money for you, our viewers. If you had invested in Nike stock thanks to Banks' recommendation, you would have been down a little bit as we're sitting here today, and well, that makes her sad. And you know, all I could think of is, what the heck went wrong here? I mean, what went wrong? My baby spent her whole life really doing the research to figure out what would be a really good good stock tip for you. And she spent her whole life picking Nike stock, and she even had a plan. You remember the plan? The plan was she was going to chew up Nike shoes so that people would have to buy new shoes, which would increase sales for Nike. That would increase profits, and their stock price would go up. So she had her diabolical plan all set, and it didn't work. And she doesn't know what's going on. I mean, the poor thing, 14 weeks, and look how sad. She doesn't know what's going on. She's confused. So I thought, it's my job as her dad to, help her out, do some research, figure out what happened to my poor puppy's stock tip. And, well, I've got some news here. I think I've figured out what's going on with my poor baby. You see, I went around our house and I started looking at the shoes that Banks was chewing on. And remember, she's supposed to chew on the Nike shoes. But, well, if I pull out one of the shoes here in the house, I don't know if you guys can get a close-up on this or not, but this shoe, this is one of my son's shoes. Notice that the swoosh is not on this shoe. This is actually some shoe from, I think the company's called Vans or something. My poor baby Banks, she's chewing on the wrong shoes. She's not chewing on Nike shoes. She's chewing on Vans. Uh-oh, see? She's chewing on the wrong shoes. So poor Banks, no wonder her stock pick is not doing well. She's not old enough to figure out which shoe is the right shoe to chew on. I mean, look at her. I'll give that to you, baby. She's pretty much destroyed that one, as you can tell. But anyway, maybe, again, she just doesn't know. It's supposed to be Nike shoes. And, oh man, the poor thing. But hey, she's just a puppy, right? She's only 14 weeks old. So here's what I'll do for you. I'm the dad. It's my job to teach her. So what I'll do, maybe the next time you see her, maybe by then I will have taught her to chew on the proper Nike shoes. And that way, if she is, maybe that way people will buy more Nike shoes and the sales will go up and the stock price will go up and maybe her stock pick will do better. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll leave you here for now. We'll continue following Nike stock, see how it does, and we'll keep you posted on my puppy Banks.